All right, hello everyone, and welcome. I'm Michael Maxey from ZEDEDA. Today we're talking about OnLogic, powered by ZEDEDA. And joining me today is Cole. Cole, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. And my name is Cole Wengsis. I'm a solution architect here at OnLogic, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this solution today. So let's go right into it.
Great, let's talk about it.
So let's set some background of how do we get here, right? In the industrial space, but in many spaces. In the past, you look at how solutions to solve challenges in the market were developed. What we saw was a lot of companies, whether it was an OEM, whether it was an end use buyer, were building these in house, which is very cost intensive, time consuming. So there's a very high capital expenditure, both in the human side as well as the monetary, to build these solutions. What we've seen companies do over the past number of years is really go towards a model of leveraging off the shelf solutions, leveraging an ecosystem of partners, so that they're not building it from scratch. I think this is most pronounced on the end user side, especially. As we got into this idea of Industry 4.0 and digital transformation, we saw companies adopt, edge technologies, not only edge computing, but deploying applications at the edge. And as someone who was in sales at the edge for a hardware company for a number of years, the number one thing I think that people didn't consider is once they got beyond that, maybe not POC, but that first real deployment of, like, let's say 100, 500 devices. So the real question became, when we look at, beyond just the first, maybe not POC, but field deployment, was this idea of how do we manage our workloads? How do we scale? How do we take these to the next level and deploy thousands of units, integrate IT toolkits? This was something that the customers were looking to solve, and they didn't really have any idea where to start. So by partnering with someone like ZEDEDA, we were able to solve that challenge.
Yeah, and we've certainly seen the same thing. Like clearly, folks, that there's a sea of hardware out there, and some of it's not so great, right? So we're always recommending and asking, like, who are the key partners out there, and we continue to see our high value customers really choose OnLogic, and over time, this partnership really became a no-brainer for us as well because we felt like the combination of those two and making that first deployment, making that first purchase, making that support, making that whole process as easy as possible is what our customers were asking for. So really excited to kind of dive into the details of this partnership. But before we do, Cole, maybe give folks a quick background on Logic and how you guys work in technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, OnLogic specializes in industrial computing, industrial, rugged, reliable systems that are designed to operate at the edge 24/7. So think small form factor, fanless, with a lot of I/O and flexibility. We were started in 2003, and we've evolved from kind of a systems integrator putting systems together to our own in-house motherboard developments, firmware, and really making the systems exactly what our customers needed. We are a little bit different than other vendors in this space because one of the big things for us is we are actually North American based. So if you're ordering a system from us, it's actually being finally assembled and tested right in the United States. Or if you're in Europe, there's another site there that'll handle production for European customers. And so really we've focused on that, building a great customer experience, and bringing in some different tools to be able to allow customers to deploy systems at the edge. So having regulatory certifications for in-country, having UL safety, being an ISO 9001 certified house, and then pairing that all with the ability to go on the web and configure systems so that you get exactly what you need for each individual deployment. And the system is really tailored exactly to your application. And of course, we maintain strategic sourcing overseas with our partners in Asia. If you want to go on to the next slide, Maxi, I'll talk a little bit about the hardware itself. So when it comes to deploying hardware with OnLogic, we have four product areas. You can think of industrial computing as in factories, in buildings, systems where you need a reliability, but maybe it's not so wide temp, but you want to make sure that you have 24/7 operation. So again, factories, warehouse and logistics spaces. On the other hand, rugged computers, these are really designed to be deployed out in the field where they're going to be, subject to shock and vibration on a vehicle. They may be powered off a 48-volt DC generator. They're going to expose to wide temp. These offer even more reliability features than a typical computer would. Those two lines are more general purpose. It could be used for a variety of applications. And then we have some that are more specific to certain types of industries. So panel PCs being designed really for HMI usage, human machine interfaces, to allow operators to work with systems out on a production floor or deployed in a food and beverage environment, or even out in the field, let's say at an oil and gas wellhead or a wind farm. Those are very tailored to those kinds of use cases. And then edge servers is something fairly new to us, really saying there's a lot of compute that happens at the edge that can happen on something like the rest of our hardware, where it's up to Core i9. But also maybe you need a little bit more than that. You need more GPU inference than some of our systems on the field deployable ones can support. And so that's where edge servers comes into play. Pairing this with ZEDEDA really gives us the option to take that, build an orchestration layer, and allow customers to deploy their applications seamlessly, whether it's legacy applications, whether it's net new applications, using a scalable architecture. So I'll change back over to Maxi to talk a little bit about ZEDEDA themselves.
Thanks, Cole. Great stuff. And so just a quick company overview if you're not familiar with ZEDEDA. So, we've been in business since 2016, building an orchestration system for edge computing. And what we recognized early on is that cloud native patterns like containers and GitOps workflow are how new modern applications are being built. And we've really brought that to the edge. So think about maybe the cloud running on your devices on the edge. And the environments we sell are very much aligned with OnLogic. You look at some of our sample customers that are in the oil and gas, industrial, they're deploying these ruggedized PCs, fanless PCs into environments where they're highly distributed and they need the robust kind of working temperatures and fanless designs that OnLogic's been building for many years. So a really nice tight partnership in that. As I mentioned, we really found each other through a number of joint customers and have built this partnership moving forward where we're aligning our engineering resources, we're aligning our product resources. We're thinking deeply about how can that appliance-like packaging really simplify the life of our customers. And that's really what's got me excited about this partnership, is I think we're going to build some really interesting stuff going forward. And what we're announcing today is also very cool as well. So just a quick overview on how ZEDEDA works, a quick overview. We run a few different components. So we run on top of OnLogic hardware. They provide a number of different designs. I only have one on this slide, but we support a number of the different models and configurations from OnLogic. On top of that, we install our open source operating system called Eve. That's really the basis for the edge node. It provides great security. It provides the ability to run lots of applications. And the way that it's managed and configured is through ZEDEDA Cloud. And ZEDEDA Cloud is a SaaS offering where our customers use policies and tags and configuration to kind of define the state of those edge nodes. So together, Eve and the cloud are how you orchestrate those applications. And then the third component is the global marketplace. And this is where applications live. And these can be commercial applications or your own private applications brought into your own private marketplace. And the combination of those three really allow our customers to build unique configurations and deploy them, in thousands or tens of thousands of different locations. So let's do a quick example of one of those customers. In this example, it's a global automaker. They are basically building firmware for vehicles locally at the auto dealerships. So they've built a system that runs a number of components, a Kubernetes cluster, a virtual machine, a firewall, etc. And they're deploying these at scale across the globe. So think about 70,000 locations running an appliance that's managed by ZEDEDA that delivers firmware to vehicles. This is the type of world we work in with OnLogic. And we're super excited to kind of take these types of solutions to all kinds of different verticals, not just automotive, but oil and gas and industrial, retail, transportation, etc. So that's a quick overview of how we work. Together, we've spent a lot of time working on this partnership. I've been working with Cole and Hunter and many of the team at OnLogic around, what does this mean for customers and what does this mean between our two companies? And I like to use this slide to kind of highlight it. This is a standard slide we use where we kind of tee up, here are the challenges you see when you go into edge computing. And we obviously modified it to make it simplified and talk about how our partnership comes together, because the combination of these two companies really does solve these challenges. So Cole, maybe take us through the unique hardware piece.
Yeah, and I thought you made a great point there with the automaker example and also talk a little bit about oil and gas, right? Part of the really big challenge that customers run into at the edge is that each deployment is unique. We may be deploying an SD-WAN appliance where we're going to need a very, very large number of LAN ports on, a piece of industrial hardware. We may need a system that's a touchscreen that is wide temperature and has remote on so customers can power it via a vehicle. So creating an extensive portfolio of solutions that we prove out together makes it much easier to deploy across any kind of number of applications. And so I'm really been happy with the work we've done so far, and the systems will continue to add to the portfolio. But beyond that, too, looking at this, one of the key things is really building that security model and building that deployability model so that customers can, trust systems coming from the factory and making sure that it's exactly what they want every time, both from a deployability perspective and from a security perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, sort of addressing the other one. So lots of nodes and locations, right? Like having an architecture that can scale out and manage these devices in thousands of locations is important, but also is the hardware itself, right? Many countries require certain certifications, industries as well. So, really having that global scale and the ability to kind of ship from Europe, ship from the United States, address our customers' global needs, I think is one of the strengths of this partnership. So it's not only the software that can help manage it, but you need the right hardware in the right place. And I think this partnership will really accelerate and help deliver that. Local processing and connectivity, it's a reality of the edge. You can't assume thousands of nodes are always going to have perfect internet connection. That happens in the cloud, doesn't happen in the edge. And one of the things we've heard from our customers is, really simplifying that experience around custom networking is an important piece. And that's somewhere where we're working really closely with OnLogic on the roadmap to make sure when a customer, gets that device out of the factory, it's pre-installed with the right ZEDEDA software. The networking is set up in a really easy manner so the node can self-onboard or onboard through an approval flow and make that whole setup super simple. So that's an area where we're investing quite a bit of engineering resources and, very excited to kind of see how that comes out and simplifies customers' lives. And then last and probably most important is security. These devices often run critical IP or critical assets of our customers. They're running their production on these systems and they're in the field. Devices can go missing, people can plug USB keys into them. There's all sorts of things that can happen in the wild that may not happen inside your cloud data center. So having a good security posture in place is super important. And we've always, sort of prided ourselves on our security flow, but with OnLogic, we're actually enhancing and making it better. And the way that we're doing that, Cole touched on quickly, which is the idea is to really measure and understand complete configuration in the factory. Measure those values, write them down, send them to a customer so that when that device is shipped through FedEx or DHL or however it ends up at its in location, we can go back to that original configuration from the factory and ensure no one's tampered with it. Nobody's installed malware, nobody's messed with the device or inserted a new card or anything along those lines. So we're bringing even a higher level of sort of confidence to our customers that this is their device and it's running the software they believe it's running, the exact software they're running. So that in-factory attestation workflow is something we're only doing with OnLogic. We think it'll really improve the security posture for a lot of our customers, and we're looking forward to kind of get feedback on that and all of the great features that we're sort of bringing out together in this partnership. So
Yeah, and
one
at the
give quick highlight. Cole, really appreciate anything I missed? Any important comments?
No, I think the big thing here was, you really hit on it was this idea of, we're bringing things together, we're making the experience simpler, so that you can trust and deploy systems at scale with ease. Before this was a multi, you might have 6 or 7 vendors you're talking to. Now you have an integrated solution. You can go right and start worrying about what matters, your line of business, deploying applications, and you're really getting results out of that.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, hey, Cole, appreciate the time. I'd encourage folks to, sign up for a free trial on the ZEDEDA website, go to the OnLogic website, buy a sample node, and try this for yourself. It's all self-service, comes out of the factory pre-installed, ready to go. Or reach out. We're happy to give you a demo and talk into the details of it. But Cole, really appreciate the time today. Great job, and looking forward to really pushing this partnership forward.
Yeah, thanks for having me.